On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks fall to the OKC Thunder without Luka Doncic. But what was the biggest reason why they lost this game? The turnovers, the referees call, Josh Green injury, all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about that and explain what it is on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome, you are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform, on Spotify, Apple. Leave a 5-star review as well. Let us know in the comment section on YouTube what's the one reason why the Mavs lost this game. There are several, but what's the one? Give me the one. I'm curious what you think the one reason is the Mavericks lost this game. Let us know that. You can also tweet me at Nick Van Exit, also Instagram and TikTok at Nick Van Exit as well. But if TikTok goes away forever, I guess just Instagram and that. Joining me on the post game as always, what you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Adam Silver, if you dare ever schedule a 9 o'clock local start time again, I can't say what will happen. But that's it.
We will send the crew. We will send the crew out. Do the Mavs have any more 9 p.m. start times?
Yeah, the West Coast. I'm saying a 9 p.m. local start time is nuts.
Makes no sense. Those children are not getting home at a reasonable hour.
No, unbelievable.
The traffic in OKC,
and they don't have TikTok anymore. They're already upset.
They've got a couple more 9 p.m.s, but it's at Sacramento, at Golden State. And
that Golden State one is so weird.
And then that's it. There's no more local start 9 p.m. ones, but there are away games. So today we'll get into the Mavs loss to the OKC Thunder. Luka didn't play in this game. Josh Green exits the game. We'll talk about his injury. Mavs lose 126 to 119. And if you just look at this game, you go, man, I can't believe they lost. The Mavs can't lose all these games. But the Thunder were an 11-point favorite. They're a very good team. Yesterday, we told you coming into this game, don't expect them to win. They're not supposed to, right? This Thunder team is very good. This is not your last season Thunder, your tanking forever Thunder. This is just a very different team. They're well coached. They've got a ton of talent. Jalen Williams is an upcoming star. SGA is probably going to finish higher than Luka and MVP, and we're going to be all upset about it. And the Mavericks shot themselves in the foot enough that it made me frustrated anyway. Still Mavs covered. They only lost by 7, but I still got frustrated by this game because you start to look around and you go, all right, there's a bunch of reasons why the Mavs lost this game. I'm going to give you your pick. Which one you want to start with? The questionable calls, the 19 turnovers, or Dallas closing small. Of those three, which do you think is the biggest reason why the Mavs lost?
Definitely not closing small tonight. I don't think that was really one of them.
You don't think that was one of the reasons why they lost this game?
I think Gafford played well. I don't think Lively played very well. Shea was cooking the bigs when he got that switch every single time.
He cooked the smalls too.
Yeah, that's true. But I especially late in the game when you were down by, 8 points and you kind of needed some shots, I sort of got where they're going. I don't think that's, if you want to be frustrated by that, that's completely fine. But I don't think that had to do with it. It was the turnovers.
Yeah, 100%.
Was the big reason why. And to quote the late, great Jay-Z, moral victories is for minor league coaches.
He's alive.
Oh. Wait, what do people mean when they say that? No, I'm just joking.
Okay, I was like, I'm about to teach you a new thing right now.
Moral victories is for minor league coaches. This isn't a moral victory. It's a tough one. Tough pill.
It's an actual L, but you learn from it. 19 turnovers, 34 points off turnovers for OKC. That's the biggest reason. And honestly, that's the most frustrating thing is you just can't allow OKC to turn those in because that's what they do. Yeah. They take those turnovers, they turn them into offense, and the Mavs over and over and over again just had dumb drives where you go, guys, they're good at defense. Guys, these are good defenders. These are good perimeter defenders. You can't just keep driving it on these guys with OKC has a type. They've got massive wingspans. Casey Wallace, Jalen Williams, SGA, even Chet down there diving feet first into a loose ball. They have guys with these wingspans that you just can't keep driving into them. There's only 10 turnovers or only 10 steals for the Thunder. So 19 turnovers and 9 of them were not forced necessarily, I don't think. And so you just go, man, just such dumb decisions sometimes. And whether it's because of the way that the offense is set up, and I think we'll probably get into that, but it was just unforced turnovers over and over and over again, and that's what really cooked the Mavs.
And it was the third quarter, because you look at it, they lost the first quarter by 6. Second quarter, they won by 4. They won the fourth quarter by a point. Third quarter, they lost by 6, and that's when the Thunder kind of started to build. That's when the Thunder started to build a little bit of a.
I meant 9 turnovers in that quarter.
9 turnovers in that quarter. And you said not a lot of steals. The Thunder had 8 steals in that quarter. So that was the quarter right there.
All their steals.
Where they used all of their steal magic right there. And that did, you obviously have to give the Thunder some credit. It's not like the Mavericks just said, "Here you go, guys. Here's the basketball. We don't want it anymore." Like, it was good defense.
Well, I didn't think the Mavs gave the Thunder credit because they kept just doing these drives where you just drive into them and you're like, okay, this is just dumb. Like, give them credit. They're a good defense. They're top 5 in both offense and defense, and you have to know how to play them. And I don't think they came in and knew how to play this Thunder team.
Yeah, I thought there were some careless decisions. There was also 2 of the Mavs turnovers were just currently, I think, one of the worst things in the league right now, and easily the most fixable problem the league has, where you have this happens all the time. I'm not singling out this game. This happens all of the time where a play, the ball will go out of bounds. The refs call it off of a defensive player, and then they show a replay, and the defensive player didn't touch the ball because he hacked the offensive player, and it was a clear and obvious foul. But they go and review it, and they change it because they can't change it to a foul, so they reverse it. That is the Thunder won 2 challenges exactly like that tonight. That is the worst rule in the league currently. And I'm not like crying about it or woe is me, the Thunder won because of that, but they just need to fix it, because any audience is gonna look at that and be like, wait, what just happened?
This guy fouls this other guy, but you can't call it, and so they're just so limited in the things that they can change in those. Like, if a foul is not called, like, you can't review it. So if it's so there's certain things like that. Like, I've seen people say, well, why didn't Kidd challenge this, or why didn't this coach challenge this call or this non-call? You can't challenge a non-call.
Yeah,
you like, there are things that you're just limited to, and so I'm with you on that one. A couple of those were just weird things, but
and you could see Kidd, the second one, was like talking to the refs. He was like, "Can I challenge like that? Because that was a foul," and the ref was like, "No."
Yeah, I would hope that he knew that he can't.
I'm hoping, because Kidd doesn't get mad or get teed up. I'm hoping that was him being like, "Hey, you guys missed that."
Well, it's also him probably being snarky, which he has
exactly what it is.
Great track record of doing, right? Like,
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
That is case in point.
It's a hilarious quote.
I'm just a coach.
The first one's hilarious.
There sometimes in the media room, I laugh sometimes, and I don't think that I'm supposed to. I think you're supposed to stay stone faced, but sometimes Kidd just gets me. He just the dry humor. It's just, can't believe you just said that about Major League and the bucket of fried chicken in the locker for Tim Hardaway Jr. I can't believe we just did that reference after that really bad loss.
That one was weird. I'm not gonna lie. If you read that and didn't know the reference, you're kind of like, what?
I had several people ask me about it.
Yeah.
I had several people be like, did he really say that?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know the reference, and I was like,
I had to go look it up too.
I was like, that's kind of a wild thing to say.
I knew it was like a reference to the movie when he said it, but I didn't know. I couldn't remember what the context was. The context. We don't need to talk about that quote.
Yeah.
Weeks ago. Go look it up on YouTube. Mavs lose this game because of turnovers, and it was just sloppiness. And honestly, it didn't even come from Kyrie the most part. Kyrie only had 4 turnovers. A couple of them were not great, but 4 turnovers with 12 assists. That's amazing.
Yeah,
36 points, 18 shots, 8 trips to the free throw line. Like, he had almost as good of a game as you could ask from your star player. And so coming up, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Kyrie's great start to the game. And we'll talk about some of the other reasons why the Mavs lost this game. I do think going small at the end was the wrong call, and obviously because they lost, but I'll tell you why coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered for all kinds of parts that you could get for your car, your ride, or die. And eBay Motors has partnered and teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd, the GOAT, to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week for you to scour the waiver wire and try and find. He's got a couple of options here for you. The eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Here's a couple one. Our favorite draft profile that I've ever done, ever in the history of this podcast, and we've been doing it all the way back to the Dennis Smith Jr. draft. Grady Dick. Grady Dick is on Josh Lloyd's list right here. The Raptors seem committed to giving us 30 minutes of Dick each night as they rotate in and out other players in their lineup. Do not As the channel manager, I probably should have proofread Josh's submission. That is amazing. So, get Grady Dick for your fantasy team as well. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each and every player being the perfect fit, just like that sentence was the perfect fit for this ad read. Same with your vehicle. Check out eBay Motors with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, so you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has you covered. With eBay's Guaranteed Fit, it is guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you know you're getting a great deal at eBay Motors. Again, ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions, they do apply.
Get your head out of the damn gutter.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you that listens on Spotify, Apple, and all that. Josh Lloyd just sent me. If you didn't hear the ad read, we do eBay's Guaranteed Fit fantasy pick of the week, and he gives me fantasy players. He said, the line is, this is literally what Josh sent me this, and I put it into the copy myself. This is part of my job, is to do it. The Raptors seem committed to giving us 30 minutes of dick each night as they rotate in on other players in their lineup.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. It's factually correct. It's factually correct. You know what else is factually correct is Kyrie Irving had a great game tonight. 36 points, 12 assists, only 4 turnovers as well for Kyrie. 4 of 7 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Actually got to the free throw line. I think some of SGA's whistle dust, magic pixie dust, came off of him and got to Kyrie, and he got some calls. He did everything that you could ask for in a star player. I mean, he did everything that you could have asked with Luka being out.
Yeah, Kyrie was pretty much flawless tonight. I mean, 12 of 18, that's crazy efficiency to get 36 points on 18 shots. So he did genuinely exactly what the Mavericks needed. You needed Kyrie to come out, step up immediately. Like, it couldn't be one of these Kyrie feel the game out and take over the second quarter or the second half. You needed him to come out immediately. And he had 9 points in the first quarter, hit 2 threes, I think, like immediately. It felt like
6 assists in the first quarter too.
Yeah, 6 assists in the first quarter. I mean, perfect job. I mean, Kyrie continues to just be great. I was saying, I was like, you watch Kyrie play, he's due for obviously Luka being out kind of helped that, but
18 shots, it wasn't like, I mean, he did have the ball more than he normally would, but it's not like he took more shots than he normally would either.
True.
Even add the 4 free throw trips to the line to the shots. I mean, 22 shots is not abnormal for Kyrie recently.
I mean, this is why we sort of walked back the Batman and Robin thing, because it really does feel unfair to Kyrie, because he's better than that. I think he's better than a Robin.
Luka is Superman and Kyrie is Batman.
Yeah, that was a perfect way to describe it. That is just a perfect way to describe it. Right
or
there.
Green
that
Lantern
one finish he had
Aquaman.
where he switched hands midair, and look, I love Shea. He had that was an insane finish by Kyrie, one of the better finishes you'll see over the last week or so of play. Probably one of the best ones. And then Shea on the other end, a nice little Euro step and a layup you probably see 14 times over the course of an NBA game. And the TNT guys were like, first it was Kyrie, now it's Shea. It's like, all right, come on.
Calm down, guys.
Yeah, come on.
Calm down, Stan Van Gundy.
They'd like me getting there and catching a pass and an easy layup under the basket. Like, whoa!
Look at that man. Look at that man go to the rim.
We didn't think he could even jump.
Oh, man. Kyrie, great game. You can't really blame him. They needed more from him, which is kind of, a problem, but they just did. Even though he gave them a ton, they needed more from him in the end.
That's not his fault, though.
No, I don't think it was his fault. But, yeah, the other thing that I think was the reason why the Mavs lost is because the Mavericks closed small. I do not think that the Mavs got any kind of advantage when they were playing with the size at the end. About 5 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game. Mavs are down 9. And they take Gafford out. PJ missed the 2 free throws, which was a tough one. And then they go small after that. And I just don't think, especially against this team, you gain any kind of advantage. Needed that rebounding advantage. PJ with 15 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds, 19 points total. You take that and you put Maxey in. And for as good as I think Maxey is defending on the perimeter and knowing the defense and all that, that's not enough of an advantage than what compared to what Gafford's rebounding and finishing around the rim is. Maxey's just not adding enough there. And I've defended Maxey if you've listened to the show, I've defended him for years on this. And I just don't think that it was you're adding anything. Because also he's not taking as many threes as he has in the past. He only took 1 3 in this game. It didn't look like he was wanting to take threes in this game.
He's been very bad offensively lately. Very bad. But
he had the one drive to the rim early in the
nice.
first half. It was great. And that was like, and then he missed the 1 3. And those were the only 2 times he attempted a shot at all.
This was the first time he's had a field goal since the Heat game, where he was 1 of 3. The game before that, he was 0 of 3.
He's been playing less, but still. I think they should have closed at least with Gafford. Lively did struggle, but you close with Gafford. Close with what was working for you.
Yeah, I'll say it didn't work. Ultimately, you didn't win the game. I think, they weren't playing well defensively either way. So I guess maybe you could look at it and say, oh, we'll just keep Gafford out there and rebound. But in that moment, I think they maybe wanted to make a switch, and it didn't work. And this is hindsight, and we can say, oh, it didn't work, so it was bad. And that's true. That's just how it works. It's not really fair, but that is how it goes in sports. We have the power of hindsight. The coaches don't.
I am the Monday morning quarterback here.
Yeah.
I get to decide if it worked or not, and it did not. And I think that I said in the moment when they went small, I was like, oh, I think this is a mistake. They should have just stuck with Gafford, with what was working. The man who cannot miss, he missed.
Yeah.
First putback attempt of the game.
It does suck that it was the first one, because that would have been fun, like a fun build up on national TV, because they were talking about it.
I know.
That would have been a fun little. It was literally the first minute of the game.
14 seconds into the game.
Yeah, that sucks. But it was still an incredible stretch, and he did play really well tonight. I thought
he did. 19 points, 15 boards. He had 1 block, but he altered some more shots as well. He didn't get credit for a lot of them, but man, I just think it was a mistake to go in that direction. Like, you
I don't think
Maxey
it was.
play Maxey with him if you wanted more size there.
Which they've been doing. They have been doing that.
They did it in the game, yeah.
I don't think that was like a major reason they lost, to be honest with you.
What was like the second major reason for you then?
PJ Washington.
Yeah.
PJ, maybe a combination of PJ and Exum. I think you needed both of them to play really well tonight to win this game. And I think you probably got Exum's worst game as a Mav.
Honestly.
Because 2 of 8, we're used to him being uber efficient. And some games you're gonna miss some shots, whatever. That's fine.
But it wasn't even just missed shots. It was like drive into the lane and fall down. It's like, what are you doing? Like 4 turnovers in 21 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like maybe he was like, all right, I really need to step up here, and maybe played outside of the role that he's been really great at this year, which is just the connector and doing everything, being like an ultimate connector and glue guy. And he, there was some uncharacteristically, because he's such an incredibly smart player and he's done so many smart things, that there was a couple plays where you're just like, wait, what was Dante doing right there? That was weird.
Even the one where he fell down and got fouled by, was it Jalen or Giddey?
Case Wallace.
Yeah. A third one where we got fouled by. You're just like, why are you doing that? Like, what decision did you make that? Yeah, that was a real struggle fest for Dante Exum.
Yeah.
And then, you mentioned PJ. Yeah, PJ missed 7 threes. One of your role players misses 7 threes.
10 straight shots.
And 10 straight shots, and that can lose you a game if it's this close. When the margins are that small and you turn it over that many times, like, if PJ makes 3 of those, this is a completely different game.
Yeah. And this is a problem that has kind of, before the trade, we were kind of talking about it. I was like, well, PJ's not a very consistent player either. Like, if the Mavs want consistency, it's not like PJ Washington's giving you that shooting wise. But even before this game, over his last 4, shooting 22% from 3, that number is going to crater after this into the teens over his last 7 games. I mean, defenses are going to start to say, all right, PJ, hit that shot, man. Like, we're going to defend you like Josh Giddey. Hit it.
The calculus is so different for the Mavericks now. We talked about last game against the Warriors, how the Mavericks can win games in different ways now. But now, one of their superpowers used to be, all right, we're getting up 40 shots, and one night we're going to hit 21 of them.
Yeah.
And, like, it'll be Tim and Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith and Luka and Brunson. And, like, there will be guys that'll just come in and hit threes all over the place. Like, Maxey, we'll have a bunch of guys that can hit threes like that. And, like, slowly but surely, the guys that can hit threes for them are like falling off or getting traded or somewhere else. And now it's like, okay, can PJ Washington? Well, that's a little bit more iffy of a shooter than some of the guys in the past. Okay, Derrick Jones Jr., that's more iffy than guys in the past. Even Josh Green, he doesn't take as many threes as guys in the past. Maxey has not been taking them at the same volume. And so now, like, your options for can we hit a bunch of threes? They shot 41%. He only took 29 of them. That's just not enough. And yeah, Luka wasn't there to create them or to take them himself. But yeah, you just didn't. It just wasn't enough. Hardy didn't take any in this game. Exum made 1 of 2. Lively isn't taking them yet. Like they're running out of like guys that can take a bunch of threes, which is why Tim still plays. And coming up, let's talk about Tim playing. Did Tim bounce back? What about Hardy? What do we think about Hardy's minutes? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix sent me a box of clothes, and I appreciate it. I'm checking them out. I'm liking some of the stuff they're sending me. And if you know that you get an instant confidence boost from an outfit that makes you feel really good, then you know that you'll like Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget. I went on the website, signed up for a box, and then you go through, and it's just like Tinder or Bumble or whatever dating app you want to go on. With clothes, you just swipe left or right if you like the thing, and they're just like, hey, do you like this grouping of outfits, or like this outfit with all this stuff, shoes, pants, shirt, belt, all that. This is just for the men's side. And you pick each one and you're like, all right, I like this, but I don't like this, and I don't like this. And you go through it a bunch of times, and then their algorithm tries to figure out exactly what you want. You can easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find new on-trend favorites that work for you. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon, stitchfix.com/lockedon. Again, stitchfix.com/ That's right. Locked on.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Appreciate each and every one of you. Subscribe on Apple or Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on one of those platforms. We appreciate everybody that listens on the audio stream. All right, Slightly. Mavs lose this game. Talked about a bunch of reasons. We got a couple of interesting things, though. We did get some Jaden Hardy in this game. Everybody's been asking for it. Tim Hardaway played 30 minutes because he kind of had to, especially with Josh Green going down. He had one of his best games in a while, I thought, at least on the offensive end. Defensively,
He had some plays, actually.
he had some. I have many questions about that. But 23 points, 5 of 9 from 3. He had 9 rebounds in this game, which some of them I think were because he was out of position on defense, and so he was there with no one around him. What did you think about Tim Hardaway's game?
Well, he was the Giddy cover, which was do nothing. They had the sitters on Giddy, but also I felt like Tim was supposed to be like hanging around the perimeter, maybe rotating over. And
Yeah, the maybe part was.
Yeah, I mean that was the game plan.
What he heard.
I mean, 5 of 9 from 3. I thought Tim actually played pretty well. There was maybe 1 or 2 possessions where you're like, all right, what? Like Tim hit his first shot of the game. It was a nice little midi. His next 2 shots were horrible out of the flow of the offense shots. That was a very tough, heavily contested mid-range jumper, and then a contested 3 that resulted in an air ball. And Stan Van Gundy saying, "Why did he take that shot?" And it's like, oh man, Stan, if only you knew, buddy. But no,
Didn't he coach his dad? Am I? Hold on, I gotta go look that up.
Maybe, but no, it was a good game. If Tim, maybe this is something that jumpstarts Tim, that would be nice for the team ultimately. But it's Tim, so you don't know.
You don't know from him, but I did think that it was finally like a good Tim game.
Yeah,
at least offensively, and they needed it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to give him his flowers for playing like this tonight, because they absolutely, if they were to win this game, they absolutely needed Tim Hardaway Jr. to play well, and them being in this game was due in large part to Tim having a good shooting night.
Stan was an assistant coach for the Miami Heat in 2001 when it was Tim Hardaway's last season. So he was there for,
well, there you go,
95 to. He was there for the majority. He was there for as an assistant coach, all of Tim Hardaway Sr.'s time in Miami.
Man, that's crazy. The Mavs shot 29 threes tonight. They really are a different team now, which I think is ultimately a good thing, though.
They have different options, but to take as many threes as they like need to sometimes, you have to have Luka, and he just creates them. They're off at here we go. I'm going into it. We'll talk about Hardy in a second. Their scheme, we mentioned Stan Van Gundy several times. One time he sees Jaden Hardy, drive and have the ball the whole time, pull up and take a shot, like a contested jumper, and he goes, "Man, Jaden Hardy's really got to stop doing some of that, and he's got to start playing." And I was like, "Well, Stan, that's the scheme. Luka is the scheme. Kyrie is the scheme."
Yeah. That's
what they do on offense. Exum was doing the same thing, which is why he had that mentality that he needed to force things like you were talking about earlier. And so Hardy was doing the same thing. He was like, all right, I got to create this offense. And that's the scheme. And so if that's the scheme, then that's what these guys are going to do. And so to create the number of threes that they need to, you have to have somebody that can create them out of nothing. And that's Luka Doncic, right? They're not creating them out of these actions or sets or plays or anything like they're not doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you are losing like 10 threes a game when Luka's not in the lineup.
Yeah, you are. It's
He's
literally,
bombing those
he
things.
averages 10 threes a game.
Like that's not an exaggeration. That's how many he's shooting.
They go from 29 threes taken to 39 threes, which
Yeah.
is about their average. So
Yeah, but sticking with Hardy, I'm leaving this game feeling pretty good about
Me
his
too.
minutes because you might look at the 9 points on 10 shots is not ideal. He did have a couple of possessions there where it was like tough shots, and yeah, that is kind of how the Mavs play. But they were early possessions, and Kyrie's on the court. It's like, all right, we can get that. He had a really nice baseline jumper at one point where the shot clock was at like 2. It's like you can get those type of shots whenever you want. You don't need to settle for those so early. But 5 assists, the playmaking flashes are what is really encouraging with him because that's how he's going to play more. That's how he's going to be like a legit bench rotation piece.
absolutely. He checks into the game at the beginning of the second quarter and immediately attacks a closeout because he got left all by himself. Didn't take the shot. He totally could have, but instead attacks the closeout, throws one up to Gafford for an alley-oop. Like just the heads-up playmaking type stuff. And that's the stuff that he does that Tim doesn't do, which is why people have been asking for Hardy instead of Tim. And I get why Kidd is doing what he's doing, playing Hardy or Hardaway instead of Hardy. But I can understand that Hardy brings you just different stuff that you can't get from Tim.
I think they feel like they need Tim's 3-point shooting.
Definitely.
Hardy,
we just talked about why.
Yeah, Hardy, you feel more comfortable with the ball in his hands when it's not a catch and shoot 3. That's it.
That's a wild statement.
That's true, though. I mean, anything outside of the catch and shoot 3, I feel better. Some people might argue the catch and shoot 3 part,
but like Hardy is known as a young player that needs to work on decision making, that does crazy things with the ball, and we're like, I feel so much more comfortable with the ball in his hands than I do with Tim Hardaway.
That's part of the frustrating stuff was before all the trades when Hardy was playing. He was having like a legit playmaking boost. Like you could see it.
Yeah,
it was happening in real time, and then it just he falls out the rotation, unfortunately. But I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't think Hardy's in like. I just, if the team's healthy again on Sunday, I doubt Hardy plays.
Right. No, I don't think so either.
And I'm not saying that's what I agree with. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen.
If Josh Green is out,
Josh Green will be out
for the rest of, let's say, but I want to go even further than that. The rest of the season, what changes for the Mavs?
That one hurts because you don't really have another.
I know.
It's like AJ
I was just
Lawson. About to say AJ Lawson is the closest Josh Green replicant you have, and I don't know if he's somebody you want getting like real regular rotation minutes.
Here's the thing that kind of hurts about the Josh Green injury is you saw it literally in this game. Josh Green goes down, start of the second or in the middle of the second quarter, or even in the first quarter. No, second quarter. You get the Kyrie, Tim Hardaway, Hardy lineups. And like those have scored well, 119 points per 100 possessions, and also allowed 119 points per 100 possessions. Like that's really bad defensively. And I was shocked that the number was not worse defensively because those lineups have been very bad defensively.
That's actually shocking that's that number. I mean, 119 is not even that great of an offensive rating when you have those 3 out there. Wait, just Kyrie, Tim, and Hardy, no Luka?
Just those 3. I can't imagine a lineup with all. I can't imagine there would be one with. I'll do it again. I'll crunch the number. Can you crunch the numbers again?
Did they run that same lineup with Curry on the floor instead of Hardy? Like that was a lineup they used to run a decent amount. Luka, Kyrie, Tim, and Curry.
That one was bad too.
Yeah, that one was a tough one. But that was what was always weird about it, is you looked at the numbers and it was like, oh, well, here's why they're doing it. Is because they're like winning the minutes somehow, even though it just does not ever feel like it. But yeah, I don't know. If Josh Green misses significant time.
It's more Derrick Jones Jr. It's more Exum. It's more.
Maybe you lean into playing big and maybe Omax gets some more minutes.
I took Luka out of the lineup with Kyrie, Hardy, and Hardaway, and both figures went down 2 points. 117 points per 100 possessions scored and 117 points per 100 possessions allowed. That's really weird.
I mean,
it's not a lot. It's not a lot of possessions. It's like 220 possessions.
That's not even the offense you would want there.
No.
That's like a middle of the pack offense.
Yeah, it's like a slightly above average offense and a way below average defense.
That's just really interesting.
So, but my whole point in all this is without Josh Green, I think you get more of those lineups. The Tim, Hardaway, Hardy.
Maybe they go bigger. Maybe they say Derrick Jones Jr. playing more, and if Josh isn't playing,
More
then
maxi.
we're going to lean into playing with some more size than replacing Josh Green with another guard.
But the thing about this, the whole thing is, if he is out for a while, we don't know. We're speculating.
Yeah.
But Josh and Derrick Jones Jr. were like trading spots in the rotation. And I asked the question to you a couple games ago. If you had to make a decision, Derrick Jones Jr. or Josh, well, the decision has been made.
Don't ask a question like that again. That's putting weird energy. The question might have got answered for us.
Sorry, basketball gods. I apologize. I apologize to you all. As I've jinxed the Mavs a million times in my career so far doing this show, I've jinxed them one more time, apparently.
So what? Derrick Jones Jr. gets like 34 minutes a game now?
What did he get tonight?
31?
31 or 32. Yep. That's probably it.
How do you think we match up in a playoff series against this team?
Against the Thunder? The
Healthy.
thing is, Luka takes out a bunch of those issues we just talked about. Didn't get up enough threes. He takes 10 a game. The Mavs turned the ball over too much. Luka, 4 turnovers a game on insane usage for an NBA player, and they don't turn the ball over as much when he plays.
Yeah.
Insane foul calls. Well, I don't know if he helps that or doesn't.
Sure,
but
that might be bad. That might be a bad thing.
But I think that the insane foul calls will be lessened with a playoff crew, right? This crew was
because they're so scared of Luka.
or at least because, hey, if the NBA calls and it's like, hey, we could get the OKC Thunder from Oklahoma City, or we could get Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving into the second round, right? If we're going with that, wouldn't they go for the Mavs instead?
Yeah.
I'll take a fraudulent playoff win.
If it was rigged, Wemby should have came to the Mavs.
Well, they can't rig it. They can't rig it fully. They can rig games. They can't.
Okay.
It's been proven they can rig games. Ever since they switched from the envelope thing, they can't rig it.
It was proven that they could rig the lottery. They did do it.
Yeah, with an envelope.
True. That's crazy. I think they match up decently.
I think they do. I think they do too. Them and the Timberwolves.
I think I'd rather play the Thunder. And I'm not like poo-pooing the Thunder. I'm just looking at it objectively through the lens of, well, the Mavs will be a 6 seed or a play-in team. And look at the top 3 seeds right now. The Nuggets, you absolutely want to avoid at all costs. Yes. Like, honestly, if you're the 6 seed and the Nuggets are going to be the 3 seed, maybe it is worth it just to drop into the play-in tournament. Because at that point, it's like, well, you're going to lose in the first round regardless.
Do we want the two games of ticket revenue, or we rather go for just one and then take the chance on a second?
Yeah, because I mean, the Nuggets are I've said this already, but the Nuggets are the one team in the West, and it's not. I know I'm slightly biased or anything, guys. Just watch a Nuggets game. They're not messing around any longer. Like it's done. They had their fun run in the first few months where they would mess around.
Yeah, they did the opposite of what they did last year. Last year they played really well at the beginning of the season, and then they coasted for like the last 2 months of the season almost.
Yeah.
And then this season they coasted for a while. They've even like backed up into the number 1 seed. You know, here they are tied with the Thunder for the number 1 seed.
But the Thunder just with their size, lack of size, and the fact that they're just so green, like it's very rare that a team goes in their first time and really makes noise. Like it's nothing against the Thunder. It's just historically it does not happen a lot.
Yeah,
you need the scars. You need the bloodbaths. I think Mike Muscala has their most playoff games.
Gordon Hayward, does he? He's probably got.
No, I looked this up. Muscala has more. Believe it or not. You think about it, and you're like, well, Gordon Hayward was injured all the time in Boston, and then he was on the Hornets and the Jazz.
He's played 29 playoff games. He played 2 years with the Jazz in the playoffs, and then
Muscala has 35
2 series with the Celtics. That's insane. There you go. Let us know in the comment section on YouTube what's something that stood out to you. What's the biggest reason why the Mavs lost? And subscribe on Apple and Spotify. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.